Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick and Jeff Lasseter. Visit us
What's
at
up?
ihatecritics.net, Everyone's a Critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. We are at Patreon as well, patreon.com/criticspod. It's the best way to help support the podcast, help us do more road trips. We also have our TeePublic link over at ihatecritics.net. Click on that link in the upper right-hand corner or search CriticsPod at teepublic.com. Jeff, where can people get your artwork?
JeffLassiter.com is my website.
All right, Sean, where can people read your reviews?
This week, I would encourage people to go to beat.media. I wrote a piece on a song called Voices Carry by Till Tuesday. That is maybe my favorite thing I've ever written, and I would really love for people to check that out. I don't usually get to write about music, but I sat down to write a piece on a different movie and then was listening to Till Tuesday, and I'm like, I got to write about this song. For some reason, I got to write about this song. And I did, and now I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. So beat.media, B-E-A-T, or geeks.media for the movie stuff. All
right. And we will have the links, most of the links anyway, posted in our show notes that you can check out as well. I'm going to actually step out, and you guys are going to run the podcast, and I'll be back a little bit later. But anything you guys want to discuss before I step out?
Can you guess? Take a guess. Who liked Ant-Man and what we thought of it?
Oh yeah, it was Ant-Man this week. I'm gonna, based on the fact that you're asking me, I'm gonna assume you liked it and Jeff didn't.
All right, we'll see you later, Bob.
All right. I will be back for Flick Chart at the end. All right. Have fun, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Antman The Wasp Quantumania stars Paul Rudd once again in the role of Scott Lang / Ant-Man. Evangeline Lilly, of course, back as Wasp. We've got Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas back as well. But the star of the movie is clearly Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang the Conqueror, who has found himself banished to the quantum realm, where he's taken over and become the commander of all things quantum realm, and is planning his way of getting out of there using the technology that Hank Pym created. And that's essentially the idea here. Mostly it's just about establishing the new Thanos, which is Kang. He's going forward. Kang is the man. Like the next Avengers movie is called Kang's Army or whatever it's called.
The Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, Kang Dynasty. Like, this is about him. And Jonathan Majors is fantastic. He was great on Loki, where he kind of originated various different forms of this character. And that's really where we're headed, is this more of this Kang character, or variations of this Kang character, as they explore. They're biting off way more than they can chew with this whole multiverse thing. This isn't a bad movie, Jeff. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's an okay movie. The thing that bothered me, though, the thing that really kind of stuck out to me is that there's really, other than Kang, even him, nobody really has an arc. Everybody pretty much starts off where they were and ends in pretty much the same place without having really learned anything or grown in any way. We've had a few entertaining action bits here, but nobody's any different by the end of this movie than they were at the start.
Well, I mean, I think Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer's character, I think she is. We get some of the backstory of, the last 30 years in the quantum realm, that kind of sets up the story, but also fleshes out her, who's just, oh my God, she's lost. Oh my God, she's found. Now we know little bit.
It's very begrudging, though. Like, it's forced by the plot. She's forced by the plot, and essentially to finally reveal these things. She's not necessarily even afterwards more forthcoming or even really all that much closer to her family than she was before.
Well, I mean, I disagree. I think, this is stuff that when you get that, I should have told you, and yeah, you could have told us, and this would have probably never happened.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, so in a way, it's her fault that Kang is coming to power
Mhm.
again. So I don't know. I didn't love the movie, and I didn't hate the movie. I liked it. There were some funny bits. It was kind of almost a retread of the first one tonally.
Mhm.
The second one it's just kind of a up and down for me. Um, really like the first one. I like this one, but I kind of got that. Uh, I just didn't think it was anything particularly new.
Mhm.
Um, I liked Kang. I liked Jonathan Majors as Kang, and I don't. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, it introduces him," and no, that was Loki. You didn't watch the Loki series, but
Mhm.
um, I like Jonathan Majors. Sometimes his delivery, like where he's coming at I'm confused because I'm not quite sure, who I am anymore because I'm not this all powerful being. That sometimes his delivery just kind of bothers me and his cadence.
Mhm.
Uh,
I
Overall,
think,
though,
but I think part of that though is him trying to establish several different versions of Kang. So he's got to give
no,
them
oh
each
no,
a
I
sort
get
of
that.
an individual affectation.
I get that. It's just he talked like my dad. Like I don't hand me that what that that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really really enjoyed how they introduced MODOK into the MCU. Um, Corey Stoll eating every single bit of scenery, and
because I don't know much about MODOK other than I think Patton Oswalt played him in a cartoon or something.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty much my knowledge of him. I was not aware that the Corey Stoll character from the first Ant-Man was going to come back in this form.
Well, that's not MODOK really. That's not how MODOK was created or anything. Um, I
But it is
only
how he's
really.
introduced here, though.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But in the comics, that's not how he's created and not who he is. I did
Mhm.
like how um, my friend Marjorie actually was obsessed with MODOK for a while. I don't know why. I think he just because his design looks so crazy. He looks a lot more like the mask that Corey Stoll MODOK wears than actually Corey Stoll does. Um, and he's just like he's insane. And I think they did a really good job of blending him into the MCU, and kind of wish that he was going to come back at some point just because he's so ridiculous.
Did you watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, I did not.
Well, there's a character on there that like the design is almost completely the same. It's same in some ways. A character called Krang, who's a bad guy in
Oh
their
yeah,
universe, and
yeah,
it's like
I know who that is. Yeah, yeah.
it's
Now that you say
weird.
that,
It's weird. The similarity is sort of strange. I don't know which came first or who influenced who, but certainly there's something there.
yeah, I don't. I have to. I would have to
But
look that
I
up. I don't know enough about him, but
I did enjoy Corey Stahl. He seems to be enjoying himself, and the best joke in the movie is just him being called Darren. Just people
yeah,
referring to
yeah.
him as Darren.
Darren.
That's the best joke in the movie for me. I we're in agreement on this movie. I mean, we both are in the same place of not hating this movie, but at the same time,
Yeah,
like I kind of wanted to see something more of Scott Lang. I wanted to see him become better, but he still seems like the same affable doofus from the first film. And not that I mind. Again, Paul Rudd does affable doofus better than anybody, but he's still the Scott Lang of Ant-Man 1 is still the Scott Lang of Ant-Man 3.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't. I get that. So from the trailer, I got actually more from the trailer about him not having enough time with Cassie as a kid. I felt like I got more of that from the trailer than I did the actual movie.
I actually felt that what was in the trailer wasn't even in the movie, because the trailer makes it seem like Scott is going to not turn bad, but like maybe risk doing something damaging to the rest of the world in order to do something for himself. And that would have been a little bit of color that they could have brought to this character. Him doing something that he knows might not be right, because he's, essentially rewriting time. But he does it anyway to get his time with Cassie, and then of course realizes he's wrong, and maybe he has to end that particular universe and go back to his own. Like, that would be a little bit of color they could have brought to this, but that really doesn't feel like it's at all present in there.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors Kang seems to kind of introduce that idea, but then they drop it almost immediately.
Yeah, there's something about Catherine Newton, who plays Cassie, who it just kind of bothers me, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the way she acts some stuff, and how she always kind of feels like she's trying to get through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked Freaky, the movie, that she starred in, but it always felt like she was trying to rush something. I'm in this movie, but I want to get to the end of it. That's kind of the impression I get from her. So
that's the writing for her is it's a little thin. Like that I feel like we've seen that idea of like a shortcut to telling you that a character is a rebel is by having them, oh, dad's got to pick her up from jail. They introduce a bit with her where she's supposed to be kind of a protester and trying to protest for social justice. We don't know enough about what social justice is like in the Marvel universe to actually get some context for that, because it can't be anything like what we have in terms of real life. Like, it can't be anywhere near that. The Marvel, because considering eventually Lily's character, for one, I mean, there are so many versions of that character who are super smart and have all the money, and they're social justice warriors. Like, they're good people on the right side of history who are, changing the world and helping people. If there are like 15 of them, if like her and Pepper Potts and anybody else, Wakanda, then probably there aren't any problems. There's probably not a Trump in this universe. Like, there are big bads like Kang coming, but like in terms of social justice, like, it appears that the rich people are all great in the MCU.
Well, she says, they were dismantling homeless camps in the park, and I was like, Pepper Potts would not let homelessness stand.
Exactly.
That was the thought that I had. I was like, there would not be any homeless people in the Marvel universe, because Pepper Potts took Tony's money and built housing for people. I'm assuming that because of the way that the Scott had to write a book. However, I think that pretty sure that they have universal basic income in the Marvel universe, because nobody seems to really have to work a super high powered job, or there's not a lot of grunt work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that that brings up a whole, well, how is the Marvel universe different from ours? That would be one of them. Would have to UBI and ending homelessness. Do you think that with Black Panther, would there be,
well, cancer's cured, I mean,
well, in the universe, not in real life, but
right. But it's funny though. There is like there was an attempt to make a TV show on ABC that sort of addressed this idea, where it was a comedy about this group of characters whose job it was to clean up messes left behind by the Avengers.
Oh yeah. And
that's how kind of like a lot of people in the Marvel universe are employed in kind of fixing things after a big, Avengers fight has happened. And that was a great idea. I wish that kind of thing existed in the Marvel universe. In the John Wick universe, they've got a great one and there's so much world building in that series, where like John Wick kills a bunch of guys at his house, and then he makes a phone call, and some guys show up and clean up the mess. And it's like, this is what we do. We just take dead bodies of people away. And there's like a whole service industry for killers in the John Wick universe that just gives that so much, uniqueness. I would love to see something like that introduced into the Marvel universe. They tried, and apparently it failed.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have to do it in the movie. I think they did it in Spider-Man.
Kind of, yeah, with Michael Keaton's character, yeah.
Yeah, with the Vulture. I really didn't hate this movie, and I want to see it again because I know that there's shit that I missed. Every Marvel movie, you have to see it at least a couple times to get it. And I get the argument that you shouldn't have to, but it's so layered that you want to. And the only Marvel movie I didn't see more than once in the theater, no, actually I did see it twice, I was going to say Eternals, but it was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I didn't see that twice in the theater because somebody had it. I didn't have to go back to the theater for it. But I'm gonna go see this. I missed a little bit in the middle because I had to take a phone call and then had to leave before the end credits, before the after credit scene. So I definitely want to go see it again.
What was I going to say? I had a thing. Multiverse of Madness. Of course, I hate that movie, and I would never watch that again, ever. This is at least a nice, course correction from that. This is certainly a bounce back for the idea of a multiverse. I appreciated that. This isn't as ugly. This isn't as ugly and nasty as that. People are saying this is an ugly movie, though. I disagree with that completely. Whatever, it's not ugly. It's a lived-in universe. It's like a Star Wars planet. Like the quantum realm is like a Star Wars planet. They've ripped off a bunch of like Star Wars kind of creature design, and
I saw a couple that I was like, hey, that was from.
Yeah. But I didn't mind that. I thought that's a nice bit of world building and kind of an homage. I don't think it was necessarily stealing, just an homage. But I didn't think this was a bad looking movie, really.
No, would I want to watch every movie in the multiverse, or in the quantum realm? No. There's so much going on that it sometimes gets distracting. But every few movies, if they did a couple scenes in the quantum realm, I would be down for that. I don't get where the people are saying it's ugly. I think it was beautiful.
Yeah, I find that to be a very odd take, and there's a lot of people who are calling out as well the special effects. They didn't think the special effects were great. I didn't think the special effects were that bad.
Well, I know they used the same technology that they used for The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. The name of it is will come to me later. But it's an immersive screen that they act in front of, and there are just elements, on the floor, like what George Lucas would have eventually gotten to if he kept making movies like the prequel trilogy, where just half sets and the rest was CGI. And I can't think of the name of it, and it's going to drive me nuts. And everybody who's listening to this is like, well, "It's called this," and but I that thinking about that kind of hit me, a couple times. I'm like, oh, they're just in front of a screen. And then I was like, oh wait, no, this looks more real than I thought it was. And so
what do you think of Michael Douglas? I thought he looked kind of bored and checked out, and they didn't really give him all that much to do. I mean, he didn't get enough to do in it, but I like him as Hank Pym. What he was given, I think he did really well with, and I like he is a little world weary, and the fact that he has, that moment where he was like, he brings all the ants that fell from his ant farm.
Yeah. And then he's like, he goes, what did you think I was doing? I'm Ant-Man, I was just like, yeah, that he is. I, as a huge Michelle Pfeiffer fan, who I wasn't a Michelle Pfeiffer fan until Batman Returns,
Yeah.
but as a now huge fan of hers, I I loved that she was kind of the star of the movie.
She's definitely like she's got a better if there is an arc in the movie, she's got a better one than most, that's for sure. At least she has one where she's going from, trying to not reveal herself to kind of being pushed into revealing herself. There's a certain level of catharsis for what she does. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that when you can't give everybody the same amount of time.
Mhm.
So I think the fact that if I had to pick between Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer for an arc and for more screen time, I would pick her. Just because we've seen him in two movies
Yeah.
doing his thing, but she's never really had a chance to shine in this universe, I guess.
I would have liked to seen more of her with Jonathan Majors. I thought that was really good stuff. If there's something that's quite obviously cut back in this movie, it's Evangeline Lilly. The wasp
Fine
role in
by
here.
me.
I not going to disagree with that. But it's like you can almost sense where like she was supposed to have more scenes or more dialogue, and they cut it out. Like her just arriving in certain scenes where it's like her and Scott, or like at the end, she's got a big bit at the end that's very important, where she seems to she and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but like she has a big moment right at the end, and it feels so rushed because there was no like she doesn't have any arc whatsoever, and she's off screen a lot, and a lot of what she's doing is just asking Michelle Pfeiffer questions. That's pretty much what she's there for, and I thought that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of hers just in general.
Yeah.
But I really think that you're right. It looks like there was probably quite a bit cut out of this movie. It looked like they tried to get the runtime down a little bit, because some of the Marvel movies have gotten totally bloated as far as runtimes and things like. Oh, the volume. That's the name of the screen technology that the Mandalorian used, that they used on this movie. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. I don't think that I didn't miss her.
No,
I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell when it was like, oh, okay, she would have been here and she would have been here. And I even think at some points Scott was cut out a little bit, because there's a couple scenes of him that felt a little rushed.
Well, the stuff that's in the trailer, yeah. I mean, like that whole arc of his that's in the trailer about like there's a scene in the trailer of young Cassie, and we don't see that in the movie. That does not exist. I mean, maybe a brief like flicker of a flashback. That is not part of this film.
Yeah. I it's good. It's passable. It's a middle Marvel movie.
It's a table setter, and it's funny because Peyton Reed was like, I'm tired of being the table setter. I'm tired of not being the main course of the Marvel Universe. And this is not a main course. This is a setup. This is a table setter. This is all about setting up who Kang is and who the Kang variations are, and what their role is going to be going forward in the Marvel Universe as, again, the new Thanos, the big bad that everybody's going to have to work together to stop. That's who Kang is, and this is about setting him up. And they picked the right actor. I mean, Jonathan Majors is fantastic, as we mentioned. He's the right actor for this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm interested to see what they do. I also think there's going to be an elevation of a particular character who shows up at the very end of the end credits. I think that character is going to get a big upgrade. At least the TV show will certainly do something. But like that, I wonder if reintroducing that character into the movie universe is going to be fun and exciting, and I'm excited to see that happen.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts on Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania?
I'm
Do you
No,
think
I
they
think
cut
I've
out?
said
Do you think they cut out some Bill Murray too?
possibly. I don't. I maybe a little bit. There probably was a flashback or something with him, but
How do you
I
write a
don't.
Bill Murray character? I mean, like, because Bill Murray just comes in and is Bill Murray, and then Michelle Pfeiffer basically assigns him a backstory,
Yeah,
dialogue, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, that's who I am." And he kind of delivers a few plot points, and then he's Bill Murray again, and he's gone.
yeah. I mean, Bill Murray. I don't think he plays anybody but Bill Murray anymore. So I'm glad he wasn't throughout the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he can't really. He's always playing his Ghostbusters character. What's
Peter
his face?
Venkman.
Yes, thank you. He's. I watched Ghostbusters for the first time 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's just playing that character the rest of his career. So
And also, isn't this the character that he plays is essentially just he's playing the same vibe as Jeff Goldblum played in Thor Ragnarok. Like
Yeah.
he's playing the same vibe, the same libertine vibe, and it's like, no, I mean we've already got too many of these. It's already
Yeah,
Jeff
and-
Goldblum already did this. We don't need you anymore. Go.
nobody does it quite as well as Jeff Goldblum either.
Yeah.
His whole persona now is just like, I am the coolest guy who ever lived. And Bill Murray is he's a little problematic, and I hate that word, but he's a little problematic. So
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that's just one last observation. I think people are going to wonder if we didn't bring it up. So
yeah,
it's weird to have it's weird to have these sort of real life villains showing up as in these movies and having the characters that we like having to work around them.
yeah.
All right. Our next movie is Marlowe, starring Liam Neeson. This is, of course, a take on the Raymond Chandler novels, the Philip Marlowe detective character that has been a staple of films since the 1930s. This time, he's a detective, of course, in Hollywood who's investigating a missing persons case in which a guy was seemingly just disappeared, but he may also be dead or he may not be dead. It's all linked to drugs, and this is directed by Neil Jordan and written by William Monahan. And Jeff, I watched this movie this afternoon, and I'm still going, how in the hell does Neil Jordan, who is amazing, direct a movie this badly? Like, he could not care less about this. I was blown away by just how slapdash this is. I can definitely sense from the story here that there's a lot of dialogue, and William Monahan is loving, kind of trying to be Raymond Chandler and write Raymond Chandler style dialogue, but it doesn't fit with these actors at all. Liam Neeson, for one, cannot deliver this material in any way. Liam Neeson is kind of embarrassing in this movie.
Yes, thank you. he has absolutely no chemistry with anybody else on screen.
None.
I know that he and Diane Kruger have worked together before, and actually they were in Unknown together, and I really liked that movie. But first of all, the source material.
Yeah.
This is not Raymond Chandler, and it shows.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I listened to a lot of Raymond Chandler stuff during 2020 when I was, kind of just hanging out in LA, and I love that history, that dark kind of the dark history of LA and that kind of stuff. But when I was living there, I tried to kind of immerse myself in it when there was nothing else to do because of the pandemic. And this did not make me want to read any of the new stuff. It doesn't have that same flavor. As somebody who enjoys that kind of hard-boiled detective stuff from the 30s and 40s that Humphrey Bogart did so well, he's just he's 70 years old.
Yeah.
Philip Marlowe, I don't know if that's because of the source material. I don't know if he's much older or what, but I could not and will not accept him as a 70-year-old who's still, chop sake people and, like doing all this stuff. It took me out of it.
Yeah, he's got a moment in this movie where he's talking to one of his cop friends, played by Cole Meany, and he says something about, could this get me my badge back? Like he wants to go back because I guess Philip Marlowe used to be a cop. And I'm like, no, sweetheart, you don't know.
Sweetie, no.
you
Sweetie.
You don't need your badge back. You need a nap. Okay, we need to put Grandpa to bed. Like, you need some warm milk and a book.
The only character in this movie that I just kind of connected with, and even I didn't because the writing was not good, was Jessica Lange as Dorothy Quincannon.
Mm-hmm.
I like her a lot, and she was age appropriate for him.
She's like the actual age appropriate romance. The other one is like coming on to him and like let's bang, and he's like, no, I can't. And it's because it's pre. They didn't have boner pills back in that time period.
Yeah, I don't think you could. Yeah.
They're just physically incapable to perform. Is the reason.
I'm 70, Diane. What do you expect me to do? Fist fuck you? No, I like the old hard-boiled detective stories and all that, and they just, because they're a lot of times convoluted, but you can follow them. There were times in the movie, and granted, I was tired. It was after work, and I was like, okay, kind of tired, but I'm going to soldier through. And a couple times I was like, I think I could just take a nap. I'm not following who anybody is.
Yeah. It's incredibly boring because this plot does not matter in the slightest.
No.
The main guy that he's searching for is supposed to be dead. He's not dead. He's been hiding out. Diane Kruger sees him somewhere after he's been supposedly killed. Why he even chooses to go through with this case? There's a scene where Liam Neeson goes to talk to Diane Kruger, and he's found out that this guy. He's found out at this point that he thinks the guy might be dead, or he's been told that the guy is dead. And he goes to Diane Kruger, and she's just lying to him and lying to her husband and lying in front of him. And he seems to take a stand like, I'm not going to let you lie to me anymore. And he walks away. And then he goes and continues to investigate the case. Like, is there a scene missing where there's another scene where he's talking to Jessica Lange and she's like offering him money to, work for her and solve the case for her. And I've already been paid. And I'm like, when? I didn't see that. She never paid you. You've never put money on the table here. What is going on? Why not take her money? She's asking you to investigate the same damn thing. Take her money. What's the problem? It's like, They want to give him a moral code, but they never establish it with any kind of dialogue or any type of action. He doesn't have the kind of charisma it takes to communicate any type of deeper meaning or moral code or judgment. And the movie doesn't give him any action to enact that, to communicate that to you. It's enacting. What it's enacting is a series of things that are familiar to. Like if someone were to tell you what a Raymond Chandler story is like, this is kind of like the dummies version of a Raymond Chandler novel.
Yeah.
It's like cherry picking little tiny things that fit within that universe, but that he never actually wrote.
Benjamin Black, who wrote the Black-Eyed Blonde that it's based on, is I would, if this movie was better, I would go back and read that or listen to it, and I don't want to at all. I would rather just go back and re-listen to something, something else that he did, like The Big Sleep. I would rather. I think what this movie is trying to do is give Liam Neeson like a period piece where it's Taken in 1939, where he just gets to beat up people because that's who he is now as an actor. It didn't give him anything to do other than beat some people up, and he looked bored. He can't deliver this dialogue.
No,
When
not at all.
you're thinking about a neo-noir movie, you want that snappy dialogue and the one-liners. And if he tried that, I wouldn't have been able to understand it through his accent. And there's a dropped line about, oh, I know Ireland well, and I was like, oh, okay, they're saying that because he can't do any other accent. Besides his light Irish accent.
Can I ask you something about Liam Neeson though?
Yeah.
Has he ever really been like a charismatic movie star? Like he's always he's terrific, and he can act, and he can deliver like passion, and he can deliver like drama. But like in terms of being a charismatic movie star, has he ever done that? Like Taken is not about him being charismatic. It's about him enacting, some violence, and he looks fine doing the violence in those movies. They do a good job of giving him a lot of lore that makes him seem like a real badass. So that worked for me. I'm a Taken fan, the first one, but like any other time, like even his Batman character is not. He's kind of charismatic, but he's also getting to play a lot of bad guy dialogue in a Batman movie. So it gets to be a little bit broad. I've just never seen him be the kind of character that these needs to be. You need a charismatic guy. You need a guy who walks in the room and goes, yes, we're following you wherever you go. Like, I could see maybe Bradley Cooper playing this role and bringing something to it that's more than just, a little bit of grit. I could see there's a number of different people who could bring a different energy and a lot more charisma to this than he does. He is just completely miscast.
I could see Paul Rudd playing this role.
Amazing.
Because he's charismatic. He's kind of a lovable loser in the first Ant-Man. He lost everything, and that's what you need for this. You need somebody who has had a lot of stuff in their past. Not 50 years past, but like 20 years in your past. You've had a lot of ups and downs. Titus Welliver would be amazing in this role.
That's the guy who played Bosch, right?
Yeah, he plays Bosch. He was in Lost. He's got that charismatic kind of, well, I fucked up before and I'll fuck up again, but I'm gonna do what it takes to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And a little world weary.
Yeah.
Not like a cipher. And I think that's kind of how Liam Neeson was playing it, was just he's like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do. I'm too old to be playing this role. And I'm going to throw a few punches, but they're going to cut back and forth really quick. So you can't see me clutching my back. It took me out of it. I kept thinking that, he should be 50 max.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah. It would be like a late 90s Bruce Willis could play this character very, very well. Back when he was still
John McClane. Yeah, John McClane would be the perfect Philip Marlowe.
Yeah, he's like he's charismatic, and when he cared, back in the time when he actually cared. Not to knock him now. It's not that he doesn't care now. It's that he's very ill now, and I'm sorry to say it. But there's a time in his career where he just wasn't performing like the most recent Die Hard movies. But like the late 90s, though, Bruce Willis would have been great for this. Or even Billy Bob Thornton. Like Billy Bob Thornton would play this role a lot better than Liam Neeson would. Liam Neeson, honestly, it's embarrassing to watch him try and wrap his mouth around the dialogue that William Monahan wants him to say. And it's also the dialogue itself is embarrassing. The amount of exposition that they do, very clumsy exposition that they do in this movie, given the skill of William Monahan. He's trying to write Raymond Chandler, but also like, okay, I can't let loose of the plot too. I got to make sure people understand what the plot is and who these characters are. There's the introduction of like Cole Meany's character, and it's so weird. Like Liam Neeson answers the door and he goes, "Detective William Ole." It's like,
Yeah.
He says his
Yeah.
full name like he does, like he doesn't know what his name is. Like, yeah, he knows what his name is, dude. He knows who he is.
You know, he's 70. Is he starting to get some sort of like mild dementia where he has to repeat people's names so he doesn't forget them?
Is that what it is? I don't like.
I don't know.
Who's he doing that for? Who did he say that for? He said it just for us. And I hate dialogue like that. It drives me up a fucking wall when people who know each other introduce each other by Detective William, or like, it's just like, of course that's who it is. You know him.
If he did it once, you know, if it was just well, look who's here. But instead it's like, I'm telling everybody who's here, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that is delivery. If you had Humphrey Bogart doing that, the laconic way he speaks and handles this character, I would buy it more. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to take 30s and 40s dialogue and cadences, but they're taking away the cadences and you're just left with the dialogue, which doesn't work today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a hammer. It's just a hammering you over and over again with how unusual this way of speaking is, as opposed to making it feel natural in any way. It's not directed naturally. Like, again, Neil Jordan is just a director for hire here. You can see the boring setups on in the direction, the way he frames things. He's just like, I'm going to do a couple things that are maybe kind of visually interesting to me, but I'm not going to invest in this movie because I just don't care.
Right. Well, so we watched The Crying Game for the 93 podcast, and I was so looking for, remember I said, I really want to see Marlowe now because I want to see what he can do with that character. Well, he doesn't do anything with it.
Nope.
There's nothing fresh or new.
This could have been any director, because there's no Neil Jordan to this whatsoever.
Yeah,
I think he did this as a favor to Liam Neeson or something. Like, whatever. I'll just come over and put that movie. I'll direct that for you. It's fine. Well, I'll just knock it out. What, we got 3 weeks? Fine, whatever.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what would make this, what could I gain from this movie later? And I thought about it all last night, went to the gym, and I was like, oh God, it just kept bugging me. And I was like, I really, really didn't like it. And then I thought about it, like, you know what I want to see now? I want to see a Cedric movie. The driver.
Yeah.
He was on screen, I don't know, a whole 10 minutes out of the movie max. And he was more interesting than Philip Marlowe.
Well, and there again, you have a character who's just clumsily, forced into this universe late in the movie. Like, they do nothing to layer in these characters. It's just like, this guy's here now, and he's got main character energy. He's just Alan Cumming and Adewale Ogunleye are here now, and they're in the movie, and they're important. And like, how are they important? They're talking about a character named Serena. Who's Serena? How the fuck knows? I have nobody. We'll never find out. Doesn't matter. I think it's the statue, but I don't care.
It's the statue.
I don't care. I don't even. Was the statue made of cocaine? Fine, sure, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. We haven't even mentioned that Danny Houston is here playing the Danny Houston character, because that's what Danny Houston does. Like, every movie.
Danny Houston and Jessica Lange were in a season of American Horror Story together.
Yeah.
And it was Coven, and their chemistry was so good together that I heard they were both in this movie. I'm like, please, please, please let them work together. Let them do something together. And there wasn't.
Nope.
And
not a single scene.
He was playing this as flat as when he was in the Devil movie the other day.
Consecration, yeah.
Yes. My least favorite part of that movie was him. And I can't say he's my least favorite part of this movie, but he doesn't do it. Sadly,
the star of this movie is the worst part of this movie. Danny
It's
Houston,
true.
though, like, stop. I mean, I think he's a great actor, and I don't want to say stop casting him, but stop casting him. Honestly, stop taking this role. We already know when we see Danny Houston, like, okay, there's the bad guy. Like, it's a
Yeah.
tired cliche. It's like Sean Bean dying now. It's Danny Houston's the villain. Like, it's just stop doing this, man. You're ruining movies now with your appearance, and you shouldn't. You're a good actor. You shouldn't be ruining movies when you show up.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate that's who he is now. Oh my god! And then Jessica Lange just completely wasted. Like, you've got this great, brilliant actress who could probably elevate Liam Neeson's performance if they went that direction. But of course, they're not going to, because this is a Hollywood movie. So of course, the younger actress is the one, even though she's like his age. Like, it would be perfectly appropriate for the two of them to have
Exactly.
a relationship and an interaction. And he seems actually to kind of come alive a little bit in scenes with her. She's the only one who seems to be playing the time period correctly. She's the only one who can deliver this dialogue correctly. Like, she's in a different movie.
She's one of the best actresses out there still. She's been in so many good things. She's elevated bad things. I just wish that she had, I wish that she had more to do that wasn't just reacting to the other characters.
Yeah.
And she
it's so
she is age appropriate. She's only a couple years older than he is. Whereas
he seemed to
Diane
kind of
Kruger,
blow the dust off his dick a little bit when she was in the room. Like, honestly, like, he seemed a little bit more interested when she was there. And he seemed slightly more interesting when she was there. But of course, the movie can't go there.
right? Because you wouldn't want to give a 70-year-old woman anything sexual to do, unless it's Helen Mirren.
Yeah. Diane Kruger is an amazing actress and just completely wasted this performance. Not much of anything that she has to do makes much sense. She's the subject of the plot. She's the driver of the plot, but the resolution of that plot is terrible and almost borderline nonsensical. She's subject to a character who is rarely ever on screen, and when he is, he's not particularly interesting, and then he becomes essentially the most important character in the movie, who we barely know anything about. Like, who wrote that? Who wrote that idea?
When I was watching this at first, I was really excited to sit down and be immersed in the world. But I think what I wanted was Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
That was a noir movie. That was neo-noir.
Absolutely.
That was beautifully shot. It was inspired direction. It was if this movie was good, it would be Nightmare Alley.
Amen. That movie's fantastic, and it's got like that classic noir idea about people who are putting a lot on the line with a lot to lose, and Bradley Cooper especially is kind of a foolish character, but he's got big ideas and big dreams and a lot to lose, and that's fantastic. That sets up a perfect ending for him, and everybody's kind of shades of gray. There's nothing good, there's nothing bad, and it's really just, it's wonderful. That's a wonderful film, and it's a great comparison, and like, that's probably where I pulled the Bradley Cooper casting for this from my head, just now that you mention it.
And in classic noir, everybody has a motive for something.
Yeah.
Whatever the plot device is, everyone has a motive or a need for that. Like the Maltese Falcon, everybody's after this MacGuffin, which is the Falcon. Everybody has ulterior motives. Nightmare Alley said everybody has ulterior motives in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's everybody here is supposed to, but everybody kind of has exterior motives. Everybody, I want to find my lover. Okay, well, he's dead. No, he's not. I saw him. I'm just fucking with you a little bit to pad the movie's runtime. And Danny Houston was just, I run this place and I'm running a whorehouse, and I want to get away with that. So I'm going to have a bunch of dead guys sitting around in a. I didn't get that either. I was like,
that didn't make any sense.
Wouldn't you bury them?
Yeah, just bury them. Don't leave your dead people laying around, especially in this way. Also, like
you're supposed to bury them in the desert. Didn't you watch Bugsy?
Exactly.
Or literally anything about Las Vegas. Anyway, sir.
But you mentioned the MacGuffin. They introduced their MacGuffin in this movie in the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes, like suddenly there's a very important briefcase. Like, what the hell? The last 10 minutes? No, this is not how you make a movie. It's so bad.
Literally, everybody should be searching for this briefcase.
Yeah, everybody should want this. Also, I was just sitting there going, now wait a minute. Now I know he's talking about having all these props that he's selling, and the props, of course, are cover for drugs. But it's like, I've kept track of all the drugs that I've sold in this paper. I've been writing down every one. Like, okay, what is that going to do in a court of law? How's that going to hold up? This is all. I sold 3 pounds of cocaine on this day and 2 pounds of cocaine to this guy on this day. Like, what was he keeping track of? He's the drug accountant. I don't understand, but it was all in a briefcase, and then it was not in a briefcase because they want to go for that noir tragedy ending where the bad people get what they want, and it's like it was so just mediocre. It was just such a mediocre end.
Yeah, I just didn't connect with it at all. I was so disappointed, because it looked like it was going to be a really good throwback, and it just wasn't.
This much talent should not be this bad. All right, just very quickly, Bob. Liam, we're talking about a Liam Neeson movie. He's actually still trying to beat people up.
Really?
And I just kept thinking when I was watching him punching people, going like, he's just going to break a hip. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I was complaining about this, 7, 8, 5, I don't know. How long have we been doing this podcast?
Yeah, it's like a decade since Taken.
Right. So, he was old then.
Now he's still trying to do that stuff. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. Jeff, do you remember? We used to have a meme on the show years ago about anytime Liam Neeson came up, Bob would say I could kick the shit out of him.
Well, he was like a great dramatic actor, and then he started doing action movies. It's like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. It's an embarrassment, Bob. This movie is terrible, and he's really bad in it. It's sad.
Yeah.
When was the last time he's been good? I haven't really paid that much attention to him lately.
It has been a while. Yeah. I mean, Taken. Because I like Taken.
If you can suspend disbelief, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked Taken. I liked Unknown. I don't remember, did I see The Gray, the wolf one?
Yeah.
I mean, but for a while he was doing really well at doing that, and this is trying to be that, and it's just not good.
No, it's terrible. All right, we're moving on to the classic, Bob. If you want to do whatever you're doing, we're going to talk about the Big Sleep. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, 1946. And of course, this is a Chandler novel, Raymond Chandler novel, with Howard Hawks directing. And this is how this is supposed to go. Like, this movie is phenomenal. A general hires a detective, Philip Marlowe, to look into a man who is trying to blackmail him related to debts supposedly owed by his youngest daughter, Carmen. The actual motivations of everybody involved really don't matter as much as what Philip Marlowe sort of represents, which in this case for me, he's so world weary and so, like, the lines on his face are just so worn into him. It feels like, to me, like he is a perfect representation of the soul of America caught up in the the overall corruption of the world just kind of wearing down on this one guy. And I just love that. First of all, the whole thing basically stems from him just making a decision. I think this general guy who's dying and has these two daughters isn't a bad guy. He was a hero in war. You know, I was in war. I relate to him. I'm going to do something for this guy by making sure that his daughter doesn't go to jail for murder. And maybe I'm kind of attracted to his other daughter. And again, so much chemistry and so much charisma coming off of Humphrey Bogart that works. Like, as much as there are weird elements of plot that maybe are kind of picked up and dropped, and elements that may not all come together as one big whole, it doesn't really matter, because this is about the way in which a noir detective is sort of symbolic of that person who's sort of holding that line, that gray area between evil and good. You know, the society of people who are just trying to get by every day and go to work, and the society that's trying to steal from them or kill them or kill people in their own sphere. And this is that one guy who's just been like designed by the universe to take on all of that and filter it out to the rest of the world. And I just love that. I love that as an idea. I love that as a character. And Bogart embodies that brilliantly. Jeff?
Yeah, I'm looking at Bob. Is like, this Bob gonna say?
Oh, I mean, I didn't want to get in the way, but I'll let you go first.
He is Philip Marlowe.
Yeah.
He is the way you play this. He is kind of the king of noir. His chemistry with Lauren Bacall is obviously off the charts because they got married shortly after this. This movie was done with principal photography. It's so. I don't even care about the plot. It was just watching them talk to each other. And there was a couple times when I was like, I missed something, because you really have to pay attention, because it's a Raymond Chandler novel. You really have to pay attention. And there was a couple times I had to rewind. I was like, oh, okay, get it now. But I didn't care, because they were just, it was so like the acting and the ups and downs and will they or won't they, that's the best part about this movie, is the chemistry between all the actors.
Yeah, and if you guys don't mind me popping in,
please come.
One thing that I love about this movie, and many from this era, is just, and I say this a lot with the classics, but you just don't ever feel like there's a studio getting involved with the filmmaking and the storytelling, and it's just so fresh to go back and watch these movies, and I just love doing that, because it's just so different than what it is today. And I don't know, I came in the middle of your Marlowe discussion, but I'm assuming that played part of the role in why that movie was bad. Maybe not.
Yeah.
It may have. There's certainly possibly an element of that, or perhaps a studio that tried to rescue this monstrosity of a failure. But the thing about movies like this, about like The Big Sleep, is the feel, the atmosphere, the vibe. Howard Hawks understands how to create that. He understands how to use Bogart within that, and he and Bogart have the perfect partnership in what they're trying to communicate. The bigger ideas about this, just the natural quality that Bogart has in delivering lines or dialogue that might seem unnatural delivered by anybody else, as demonstrated. Not everybody can do this. Liam Neeson cannot do this at all, but Bogart, it feels like Bogart. It feels like he is, like you said, he is Philip Marlowe. He is this character. He feels this is how this character talks. It makes perfect sense coming from him. It makes perfect sense coming from Lauren Bacall. The way she talks, the way she sings, the way she moves, it's perfectly natural within this universe. And just none of that comes through in the modern Marlowe.
Yeah.
A better, if they're going to make a modern Marlowe or a modern movie like this, Joaquin Phoenix and P.T. Anderson's movie from a few years ago, Inherent Vice, is a way better Marlowe movie than this piece of shit Marlowe movie that we got.
Yeah, I just can't. It's so hard to compare them because I could sit and watch Humphrey Bogart play Philip Marlowe in 100 movies, and if I had to sit through another Liam Neeson one, I'd probably just kill myself.
I don't want to bear the boredom again. I really don't.
Can I ask a question? I don't want to go backwards because, like I said, I missed part of the discussion. But was Liam Neeson trying to be Bogart in this? Is that part of the problem?
No.
Or? Okay.
I think he's trying to be Philip Marlowe, and he's trying to create his own Philip Marlowe, but like he just can't
do it.
He just can't punch his way through this dialogue. He's not a movie star. He's not. He's an actor. He's a good actor at times. He's a fine dramatic actor from back in the day, but he is not a movie star. He doesn't have the premise and the presence and the charisma to make this work. And this is a character that requires charisma to carry you over questions you might have about the plot, because some of the plot of The Big Sleep, like who is the bad guy? Like what is their motivation? What are they trying to get? What happened to the dead body? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not as important as what Bogart is doing as a symbol of, like, again, when I was talking about that line between good and evil. I was in my review, I went on this weird tangent of comparing him to John Coffey in The Green Mile, because John Coffey sucks out the disease from a good person and blows it out into the universe to get rid of it. That's kind of what Marlowe does. He suffers for the rest of us. He's suffering for those of us who want to pretend that there isn't, crime around every corner and corruption in every corner. He's suffering that for us and looking at it directly, whereas we're off here doing whatever we're doing. It's kind of reminded me of The Big Lebowski, because, again, that's also a much better modern version of Marlowe is The Big Lebowski. He's the dude is out there being the dude for the rest of us who can't be the dude. It's like... It's very fun. That's a very funny idea, but Marlowe, I really buy into that sort of comparison between him and John Coffey in that weird sort of way. He's doing the things that we can't.
I mean,
he has the strength and presence that we don't.
Okay, I think I was misunderstanding it for a second there. I thought you were like using a Jesus reference, but going to John Coffey instead of Jesus. Is that like your go-to?
No, not Jesus. No,
I know. No, I misunderstood where you started from, but now I get where you're at now.
Just he takes the disease out of people and filters that out away from the good people to the bad people.
Right.
And that's what Bogart's. Philip Marlowe is the lie. He's the guy who has to face corruption while the rest of us don't. If that makes sense.
100%.
Any other thoughts, guys, on The Big Sleep?
No, I want everybody to see it.
What did you think, Jeff? I'm sorry to make this about gay, but the moment where Bogart seems to code himself as gay, what did you take? Did you take that in at all, or did that occur to you?
It really didn't. I kind of caught it, and I was like, no, not Philip Marlowe. Let the straights have this one.
I really the female characters who show up just briefly, like there's 3 of them at least that are just have smaller roles, but like they're incredible with him. He has chemistry with everyone. There's a character in this movie who just is a lady who works at a bookstore across the street from where Marlowe needs to get to, the thing he needs to watch. And I swear to God, they just immediately just their sexual chemistry off the charts.
Yeah.
They clearly went in the back and banged after she closed the store.
He played it that way.
It's so cool. He played
it that way because he thought, what should I do? And he just said, you know what, I'm going to play it like they're going to go fuck in the back room after the scene. And that's kind of where you think it's going to lead because of the way he played it.
But also, like, she was down. She was DTF. She was all in. Like, Like he wasn't tricking her, he wasn't manipulating her. Like he rapped to her, she was down with it, and that's the way it went. That was just a great scene. Their chemistry in that moment was just amazing. But then, like, he has chemistry with a cab driver later. It's just like he invests these other characters with life. Both he and Hawks and Chandler, really.
The way he acts, just in general, in a lot of other movies, you just want to be on screen with him.
Yeah. So true. So true. He's so amazing. I love this movie. I think it's an all-time classic. I'm glad we got to talk about it again. I'm glad I got to write about it. I did a big 1,400 word piece on this for the first time, and that's up at geeks.media. And of course, I'll send it to you guys to be in the notes. And I adore this movie.
Yeah, everybody should go see it. It holds up. It's watchable. It really is. If you are into classic movies, this is one you got to make sure you see.
And do Liam Neeson a favor and don't see Marlowe.
Yeah, we want this to tank so they don't make any more.
Just don't embarrass him by going to watch this movie.
Titus Welliver plays a much better Marlowe on Bosch and Bosch Legacy than Liam Neeson does in even one of his best scenes in this movie.
There's so many better versions of Marlowe out there. There's no real reason to see that piece of trash.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, I wanted to bring you back in on this as well because we're moving on to the 93 movies. Jeff and I and Amy, Jeff joined us for the 93 podcast, and we talked about the Crying Game, and I wanted to get your thoughts. Obviously, you and I have talked about the Crying Game before, but we had a good 80-minute conversation about it that went to some very unique directions. But talk about the Crying Game for you.
Well, I remember when we had it as our classic, and everybody knows the big shocking moment in the movie, but that almost, because this becomes such a cinematic landmark, it almost takes away from how good the movie is. People seem to have their focus shifted, but it's such a solid movie, and that movie does not live and die by that scene.
Absolutely.
And I remember that part of the conversation that you, Josh, and I had at the time, and it was just such a fantastic watch, and so much more than I remembered it being the first time I watched it. And I just, I'm kind of being broad with my description of it because I haven't seen it since that day. But I just remembering how much more the movie was and how much I liked it, and how I feel like it's kind of been robbed because of pop culture.
Amen. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, about all the various different jokes that were made, and how, the Ace Ventura thing, which certainly is not aged well at all, and the ways in which
3 days later after that movie
very well, that's true. But I talked about it. I wrote again another article about this movie as well, and how very American it is that we're still like 5-year-olds in this country, where we're still fascinated by innies and outies. that's the level of discourse that we brought in 93 and really still bring today to the idea of a trans woman in a movie. Who is just obsessed with innies and outies. I saw a penis, points at penis. That's pretty much the discourse. And really, it's so sad because this movie is so far ahead of its time. It's so, what we talked about on the show, and you'll hear when that show goes up, is how amazingly sensitive and ahead of its time this movie really is, in terms of, having a trans character that is really not focused on the fact that they're trans. Like, that's a fact of their life, and Stephen Ray is kind of trying to pretend that's not a fact before he is fully confronted with it, and how this is about revealing him. It's really just tremendous. It's a tremendous film.
I wish, sorry, I know Jeff's up, but I wish I could see it, in the theater today without any knowledge of it, just see it as a fresh new movie. The experience, just because it's such a great movie, and it's just so much more depth to it than what pop culture has turned it into.
Jeff, you want to share any thoughts?
No, you should go listen to the podcast and you can hear my thoughts on it. And all of our thoughts about the controversy surrounding it, the jokes surrounding it, and then how we get into politics for like 3 or 4 hours.
Everybody share the same political party? Okay. No fighting amongst each other. That's good.
Nah.
No, there's no political parties when it comes to talking about trans issues or gay issues on this show.
Yeah.
It's not a debate.
Thank God.
All right.
You can try to make it a debate, but you're going to lose.
Exactly.
Probably won't happen on this show.
Other movies that came out in 1993, The Temp came out. What was it? Love Field with Michelle Pfeiffer came out this week. I've seen The Temp. I've seen Love Field. I don't really have much memory of either movie. The Temp, I think, is Laura Flynn Boyle. She's like trying to insinuate herself into some dude's life who's married or something. I don't care. Any memory of these movies, Jeff?
I think I saw commercials for Love Field, and I feel like I may have watched The Temp when it came out, but I don't remember anything about it.
Bob, anything?
No,
any memory at all?
I don't remember the names. In fact, I didn't even have them written down as 93 movies. So that's yeah.
Next week on the 93 show, we're talking about Army of Darkness. So another fascinating conversation, and weirdly, probably at least for me and Amy and MJ, 3 good movies, or me and Amy at least 3 good movies in a row from 93 after the horrific start that this year had. Is kind of nice.
Do you want to hear my favorite thing about Army of Darkness?
Why don't we talk about it next week?
Well, I can't do it. I can't. But I just want to say, just when you're going into it, know that Sam Raimi wanted to call it Medieval Dead, and Universal said no.
That's dumb.
So fuck them. That's like the best name ever.
That's a great name for that movie.
That would make me like it more.
No kidding.
Oh,
that bums me out now. Thanks for ruining my night.
You're welcome.
That's such a fantastic name for Evil Dead 3.
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, let's...
what else we got next week, Sean?
Cocaine Bear. I watched a movie called Linoleum with Jim Gaffigan, which my review is already up for that. I've got a review of the movie The Jesus Revolution going up tomorrow. I'm not allowed to say how terrible that movie is.
Do we have to talk about it?
Spoiler alert!
Bleep that. And obviously everybody's just going to be talking about Cocaine Bear next week, so that's really the most important aspect.
One of my most anticipated movies of the year.
I hope it doesn't let us down.
I hope so. Yeah, I keep getting like the vibe of like Snakes on a Plane from it, which bothers me because Snakes on a Plane was a pretty big disappointment to me. So I'm worried about that aspect, but I'm hopeful.
Let me say this: I'm trying to avoid anything about it, but I did hear one very positive thing about it from Phil Nobile Jr., who's the editor-in-chief at Fangoria magazine. Mm-hmm. A character actually uses the term "cocaine bear" in it. So
I like that.
I'm here for it.
It's Ray Liotta's last movie.
Well, let's all watch it in reverence of him. Yes. I just want to see Alden Ehrenreich in something else too, because make Solo 2 happen.
I just want Elizabeth Banks to have success after Charlie's Angels didn't go the way she wanted it to. So, let's see. You guys ready for Flick Chart?
Sure.
The Great Dictator or The Godfather?
The Godfather, but of course I think The Great Dictator is a pretty incredible film as well.
Yeah, same.
Inside Out Chronicle.
Inside Out.
Yeah, Inside Out.
Agreed. Beverly Hills Cop 2, Apollo 13.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, another better Philip Marlowe movie.
Did you have to see Apollo 1 through 12 to get Apollo 13?
Boo! Boo!
Beverly Hills 2. Apocalypto, Lady Killers.
Lady Killers.
Yeah, I guess.
I just don't like Apocalypto. I don't. Lady Killers isn't good. It's like the least of the Coen Brothers movies, but it's still a Coen Brothers movie.
Hunt for Red October, Tommy Boy.
Hunt for Red October, but I got a soft spot for Tommy Boy.
That guy in a little coat. Hey, Richard. That's how my dad's name was Richard, so I used to go, "Hey, Richard." It pissed him off. Like me when somebody says, "My name is Jeff."
Oh.
Cool Runnings, Heat.
Heat.
Yeah, you guys could have it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say fuck you if you pick Cool Runnings. The Great Gatsby, 2013, The Godfather.
Technically, I didn't vote on that. The Godfather.
Agreed. Do you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Need for Speed, El Mariachi.
El Mariachi.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, El Mariachi.
Agreed. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, The Great Gatsby.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Yep, same here.
My favorite Star Wars movie.
Suck it, haters.
Is that the one I like or the other one? Which one?
I don't remember.
The Ryan
I thought
Johnson
you liked The
one.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
You like The Last
Never
Jedi.
mind. I fucked
Like
up.
talking to my mom right now. Did
I
like that movie?
I
Our
am
most
someone who
freaking
thinks there
conversation.
are great things about every Star Wars movie, and there are shitty things about every Star Wars movie. Fight me.
Except The Last Jedi. It's just great.
Canto Bite.
Uh,
The casino panel. The casino planet.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Stranger Than Paradise. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep, same here.
Yes. Boot Hill.
Never heard of it. I've also
Never
never
heard of
seen Fantasia 2000 either.
Thank You for Smoking, Snake Eyes.
Thank You for Smoking. Again, I've got a newfound appreciation for Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I'm going to say thank you for smoking.
I agree completely. X-Men Apocalypse, Man on Fire.
Ooh, that's hard because they both
Yeah.
kind of suck.
They both kind of suck, too.
We can just have never seen either one of them.
That's the best option.
The Parent Trap, Before Sunset.
Before Sunset.
Or Sunset.
Primal Fear, 12 Angry Men, 1957.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah. What a cast.
Yeah, amazing.
The Little Things, Frequency.
The Little Things.
I
Oh.
I don't remember it, but I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just anything with Jim Caviezel, the most put upon man in Hollywood. I'm gonna choose against it.
Fair enough.
Nobody has it harder than him because he's a Christian. Literally, that's what he's like. He thinks it because he's a Christian.
Yeah.
A lot of them think that.
Oh my God! Why do I look like Joe Rogan in the camera?
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that.
Wow. Witness, Bruce Almighty. You really
Witness.
do look like Joe Rogan. I agree.
I didn't even vote. I was.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
Only the Strong, Diabolique.
I've not seen Only the Strong, though apparently it might be coming up in 93, so maybe I'll see it then.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Diabolique.
Diabolique is the better movie,
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Diabolique.
Why? What are you gonna fight me about it? I'm just gonna keep doing that.
So what do we pick?
Diabolique, yeah.
All right. Planet of the Apes, American Werewolf in London.
Planet of the Apes for me. Yeah.
American Werewolf in London.
I need to rewatch American Werewolf in London. We need to make that a classic sometime. We keep talking about it, but it's Planet of the Apes as of right now.
We could even do it next week so we don't have to watch the other two that we talked about.
I'm okay with that.
Let's do that. Why not?
Okay.
All right. Let me write that down.
Why not?
That's next week's classic, American Werewolf in London.
All right. Sorry for the dead air, people at home. Return to Neverland, Cabin Fever.
Which one is Return to Neverland? I don't remember that one.
I've never seen that one.
I've never seen it.
I think it's animated, isn't it?
No, if it's I've never seen it then.
Damn it. Raging Bull, Cabin Fever.
Raging Bull.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
I agree.
I don't like either one of them.
I like Cabin Fever, but The Hot Chick, Panic Room.
Panic Room.
We Were Soldiers, Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
I don't know. Yeah. God.
Citizen Kane it is. Richie Rich, Lost in Space.
Richie Rich.
Okay.
Meh. I don't care.
I don't care either. You said Richie Rich, it wins. Strange Days, The Prince of Egypt.
Strange Days.
Yeah.
Rescue Dawn, Mannequin.
Rescue Dawn.
Sure. Didn't care for either one of them, to be honest.
2012, Private Benjamin.
Private Benjamin.
Private Benjamin, but I have a soft spot in my heart for 2012 because I love disaster. I love disaster porn.
Fair enough. I know what you did last summer, American Sniper.
American Sniper.
I know what you did last summer. Fuck American Sniper. Bullshit propaganda. Fuck.
It's not fair. I have to pick American Sniper after you said that.
Oh yeah, I
it's
know.
really
You're
effective
right,
while you watch
right with
it.
nut job.
It's really effective while you watch.
And I haven't gone back since a lot of those opinions have come out. So, 7 Psychopaths, Frost Nixon.
Frost Nixon.
Frost Nixon is fine.
Yeah. The Informant, Spawn.
The Informant.
Spawn, just to be.
Did we like The
Contrary.
Informant? I thought we hated it.
I don't remember if I liked it or hated it. I just don't like Spawn.
I'll go Spawn. Because I remember just being disappointed in The Informant. Bubba Hotep, Last of the Mohicans.
I probably was, but yeah. Bubba Hotep.
Yeah.
It's nothing against Last of the Mohicans. It's probably a good movie. It looks like homework. It's always looked like homework to me, and I don't want to do homework. I want to watch something dumb like Bruce Campbell playing Elvis and Ozzie Davis as Kennedy.
I've never seen Last of the Mohicans. I can't imagine Michael Mann making homework. But I can imagine Daniel Day-Lewis, so I don't know that I want to see the combination. Trainwreck, Private Parts.
This is hard. I really don't know which way to go on this. I love both of those movies. I think they're both hilarious. I'm going to go Private Parts just because radio, I guess, because I'm in radio. I'm going to go Private Parts for that, but I love both those movies.
I like Trainwreck, but Private Parts I like a lot more.
I haven't seen Private Parts in a long time, so I'll take Trainwreck.
I accidentally walked out of Hy-Vee with that video cassette years ago.
You just picked it up off the wall, just like this.
I was going to buy it, and then I got distracted, and the next thing I know, I'm in my car going, "Oh shit!"
That was free. Let's go home. Event Horizon, Birdman.
Birdman.
Yeah, even though Event Horizon is stupid fun.
Good. Someone finally agrees with me on Event Horizon. Scream 2, Anchorman.
Scream 2.
Anchorman.
Scream 2, Sean.
I admire Scream 2. I love Anchorman. I would rather, if I'm going to watch one, I'm going to watch Anchorman.
I agree. Milk Hitch.
Milk.
Milk.
Agreed. Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Incredibles.
Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie made to date.
It's not wrong.
Go ahead, you guys. Yeah, I don't. Doesn't matter to me.
I don't like the broy Kingsman vibe.
I hear you, but there's some deeper elements to the Incredibles that when you dig down on it, it's well, problematic would be a way to put it.
Well, we did vote for American Sniper.
Yeah.
I can't get to the problematic part because of Bradley Cooper. Damnation, 1987. Les Mis, 2000.
Never heard of Damnation.
It's hell, I believe. This isn't. Grindhouse is really two movies, and sometimes it's both. One of them. Either way, all right. Grindhouse, Les Mis.
Les Mis, all the way. I love Les Mis.
Grindhouse, just because somebody's got to speak up for horror on this fucking podcast.
I absolutely love Grindhouse, but Les Mis is really.
It would be closer if it was just the Tarantino movie, if it were just Death Proof versus. I would have it to debate a little bit, but if you're throwing in,
but you have
Planet Terror,
Les Mis,
fuck Planet Terror.
Les Mis is one of the first movies in the show that you really had at the top of your list.
Absolutely, I love that movie.
When Harry Met Sally, Signs.
Signs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Love When Harry Met Sally, but Signs is terrific.
I agree. RoboCop 3, Popeye.
Popeye.
Oh yeah, Popeye by a lot.
Death to Smoochie, Hollywood Harry.
Never heard of Hollywood Harry.
Death to Smoochie, The Green Hornet.
Green Hornet. I really like Green Hornet. I don't mind Death to Smoochie. I think there's an element of Death to Smoochie that works, but it's not enough to make it a really great movie. Whereas I really look back on Green Hornet and enjoy it.
I'm going to say Death to Smoochie because a lot of good memories. The first time I saw that movie.
God, I'm about as 50-50 as it gets on this one. I'll go Death to Smoochie. The Living Daylights, Amityville Horror 05.
Amityville Horror 05. Even though it's terrible.
Well, it does have Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off a lot, so we'll go with that one.
I can get behind that. Planet of the Apes, Sweet November.
Planet of the Apes.
Ernest Planet.
Hunger, The Village.
Hunger 2008. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm familiar with The Hunger, but it didn't come out in 2008.
The Wolverine, The Village.
The Village, I guess, even though I'm not a fan. The Wolverine's pretty terrible.
Yeah, I like The Village. I'm not.
Me too.
It's not my favorite movie, but I like it.
Yeah, I didn't. It's the fourth best of the first four, but I didn't hate it. I was with it the whole time. Underworld, Yumi and Dupree.
Underworld.
Sure.
Good, because I give two shits either way.
Who's standing up for horror now?
Oh, that's horror?
Yeah.